I'm Jack, I'm 26 years old. I play footy and have suffered quite a few concussions, and recently Sam and I ran 488 kilometres to the MCG from the Victorian border to raise money for concussion awareness. Well, I can try, because I don't know how many concussions I've had all up. You know, you can go back to, I know I fell off the countertop when I was a little baby. I fell off the roof when I was like 5 years old. Hit my head on a surfboard when I was 12. So it could have been any of those, could have been my first concussion. And after those, mostly playing AFL, I've sustained a lot. I don't remember many of them. I know it's around the sort of 7 to 10 mark, but I just simply can't remember them. So if I was to guess, I'd say around 12, maybe less, maybe more, but mostly through playing contact sport. No, I remember, it's hard to tell if you've got a concussion, especially at a young age. So through my teenage years, sustaining those concussions, I can't remember back to whether or not, you know, it's a proper concussion. I never went to the doctor about them until I was maybe 22. So those concussions, I'm not certain if they were actual concussions, if I've got the right symptoms, those sort of things, just because, you know, I wasn't onto it at the time. But of the AFL ones I've got in my 20s, I can remember some of those, and some of those I need to be reminded about because I don't have a memory of them occurring. Yeah, right. I remember I was playing a game of AFL in Pambula in the rain. Well, it's probably not a very good example because then I remember waking up in the shower. I was obviously been told back to me that I'd hit my head in a contest. I'm not a very good footy player, but I can be tough. So I used to put my head over the ball and try and be the first person to get the ball and give it to someone who can use it properly. So obviously I put my head over the ball in a contest. I think it was a knee to the head, and that wasn't looking very good. One of the trainers pulled me off, and I came to in the shower about 20 minutes later. So, and that's my only memory. I remember getting to the game. I wasn't happy because it was raining, and our game was delayed as well because there was an injury in the previous game. So I had to wait longer to play, so I wasn't happy. Next thing I remember, I'm in the showers, and the game's still going. It was probably half time. I was supposed to drive home. Sammy over there told me definitely don't do that because I was in a bit of a state, and the memory is patchy still from there. It sort of comes and goes. I know that when I was in university, it was really hard because I had to sort of relearn how to study, because for 2 weeks or to maybe 4, it was really hard to retain any focus. I didn't drive for 3 or 4 days just because I couldn't focus. I couldn't run because of the nausea that it caused me. So I spent a lot of time in dark rooms, in a bed, not doing much. I couldn't watch TV or look at a computer screen for very long. So for me, it was a lot of just resting until I felt better. And on top of that, I felt really, really depressed. I noticed with my concussions, one of the symptoms is sadness, which is a shame because obviously it's not very fun being sad, but I feel really sad for the weeks or months after a concussion. There's frustration as well. Frustration at being injured is definitely part of it, but it's definitely like the emotional toll. You feel it more when you have a concussion, or for me anyway. That's one of my least favourite symptoms about it. So the symptoms that I felt that weren't just the emotional ones would be things like light sensitivity. It was really hard to be in bright spaces. Loud noises were a lot. Flashing lights as well. Anything that was flashing, like a computer screen or a TV screen, just sent me straight into sort of like a dizzy spell. It was terrible. And then there's nausea, so a headache, feeling quite queasy. You know, you could just stand up and need to vomit. I've noticed that each time I get concussed, those symptoms go for longer. So initially, early 20s when I was getting concussed, my symptoms would last for a week, maybe two. And the last one, the symptoms lasted for 2 months before they noticeably went away. But there are also long-term symptoms. So I'm not the same person that I was when I was 19 before playing footy and getting consecutive head knocks. My memory is nowhere near the same. I can't remember short term very well at all. It makes it really hard to work. I forget people that I know. I forget their names, their faces, what they do, things about them. I forget what to do, so I have to write lots of notes all the time about, what I taught at school yesterday, so I know what to teach tomorrow. Those sort of things, the long-term symptoms. And I just stopped firing as quickly as I was when I was a younger man. And I really do believe that's down to the concussions. Yeah, so my last concussion was 5 months ago, and I felt the worst of the symptoms for about 2 months following that. The nausea went away after about a month, and then the depression and confusion and things like that went away after about 2.5 months. And at the moment, I'm feeling pretty clear-headed. Not as clear as I was beforehand, but definitely way better than in the couple of months following that head knock. I think they suffer from it more than I do, these concussions, because they're the ones that have to deal with it. For me, it's just how my life is now, I suppose. But they've had to see me sort of, my mental state sort of disintegrate into a lesser version of what it was. So a lot of my friends are quite concerned about the way that my memory is holding up, things like that. My mum, she's quite worried about me, and so is my dad. Those concussions I got in my early 20s, there wasn't much advice around, and for context, this is only 5 years ago maybe. There wasn't too much advice. I didn't seek it because I didn't really know what was going on, but the advice was just take it easy. So I would go home and take it easy. And moving forward, after the next concussion, I was like, I don't want to deal with this same thing for, 2-3 weeks. So I'm gonna push to, recover better. So I went to see a doctor. And unfortunately, the doctors just didn't have too much advice other than take it easy, avoid looking at screens. They gave me a medical certificate to have a couple of days off work and rest. But there wasn't any advice that I've been given yet by anybody that has been able to sort of speed up the process of healing. Maybe you can't speed it up, I don't know. I have heard recently though that you can do recovery like physiotherapy for concussions. So if I were to get concussed again, I would look into that because hopefully, it can increase the speed in which you heal. I've also looked into it in podcasts and stuff. Apparently there's foods you can eat, different approaches you can take to heal quicker, but unfortunately, I just haven't been aware of those until now. No, that's a bit of a contentious issue. I've been told by a neurologist not to play. He's signed off on some sort of certificate saying no more contact sport for Jack, which was really heartbreaking that day to get that news. I knew it was coming because obviously, like you talk to anybody about the symptoms that I've got and the way that I've changed throughout the years, it's quite obvious that I shouldn't be playing contact sport anymore. I've done my dash, but it was really sad getting that news. He said, 2 concussions is usually where we draw the line, and me being somewhere between 10 and 15 is way above that number. And yeah, doctor's recommendation was to cease playing contact sport. To the victims of concussion, I would say that everybody is different. So I believe that they're going to have different symptoms to what I'm going to have. We might share similar ones, we might not. So I think you've got to do what feels best for you. So if you need to go rest for a couple of days, go rest for a couple of days. There are a couple of things that you can do for nausea or like migraines across the board, like stay in a dark room, take it easy, avoid lights, avoid loud noises, avoid stress. And I think also be kind to yourself. It's really easy to put pressure on yourself and go, you know, I need to get better now, I need to go do this. And that can always just worsen it. I probably did that to myself, you know. I rushed the recovery process, and rushing the recovery process leads to, you know, an increased likelihood that you're going to get concussed again when you go back out there. For me, so yeah, I can't play footy anymore, and I would love to. I didn't throw my helmet out just yet. I was packing the other day and saw the helmet and it's still there. I don't know. I know I shouldn't. I really know that I shouldn't, but I don't know, maybe in a couple of years, I'll be feeling clear and good to go, or maybe there'll be some miracle drug that I can take that fixes my head, but I know I shouldn't play footy. And I'm gonna leave it for a little while. I'm gonna move away for a bit to like remove the temptation, and then it's most likely that I'll be coaching. So for Jack now, it's surfing and coaching footy, I think.